Hello, everybody. Good morning. Happy Father's Day. I think everything's working. It's always hard to say when I've been gone for a while. Make sure it's all there. Of course, this camera could be a little bit higher. Let's do that. I usually have to move this out of the way. Oh, you know what it is? I usually have something heavy on the back here. Hold on one second. All right. I don't know if that's better for you, but it's better for me. The camera's not in my way. Okay.
Let's check out.
How is this not on the right? There we go. My stream is not updated here. Let me update that. Excuse me. Got a lot going on. All right. Hello, everybody. Happy Father's Day. All sorts of little things I've noticed that have changed about my setup here. That helps kind of get rid of the moire pattern that I had through the screen on the back of the chair. Yeah, so happy Sunday to most of you. Some of you, it's Monday. Happy Father's Day. Let's get right to it. I'll start drawing and we can start talking as I draw. Yeah, so it is Father's Day, and I am streaming. Hadn't streamed all week. And frankly, a lot of the kids are teenagers now. They don't wake up till later. Or if they wake up, they're not quite engaged. We have two of the kids are in Asia, so at this point I think they're asleep. It's like 2 or 3 in the morning, so I'll talk to them later tonight. Anyway, I thought I would do a little more sort of maybe a thematic stream today. It's Sunday, it's an open stream, open in that I just kind of sketch whatever. But I'm going to do something a little different. I'll still put it to a vote, but I'm going to pick some characters. I'm going to do 2 characters. One, I'm going to, well, I'll let you guys pick, and then I'll just kind of offer some suggestions. But before we get into that, let's acknowledge some of the people that have supported the stream. Got Will Bruce Art, longtime supporter. Good to see you again. Ignite Comics also. Green Arrows, so he can buy it. He wants Green Arrow, so he can buy himself it for a Father's Day gift. Not a bad suggestion. I like the idea of Green Arrow. Janella has cheered as well. Draw Batman and Damien. Janella from the Philippines. I always try to figure out what time it is where he is. My guess is it's very late. That's all I know. Spiky Summer has resubscribed. And the Spider-Man 1963 has cheered. Wow. Charlie App 7 has cheered as well. Thank you for your support. E-Chirt has cheered as well. E-Chirt. Hopefully I'm saying the name correctly here. Ignite Comics as well. The Comic Source has resubscribed. There's a lot of activity going on. Alley Cat Comics has subscribed. Tim Stacy, Scoot Fast, Scuffner, Max Inc. or Max Inc. 00. Max Inc. 076. I've really gotten bad at reading off a monitor, and part of it is my vision is just it's just saying had enough. Nova Prime X has resubscribed. A lot of activity. Certainly within the week, a lot of you have resubscribed, so I thank you guys for supporting the stream. D. Calvin has cheered as well. High Bounce Pinky and Dung Beetle Bra. All right, so I think I'm caught up. If I missed anyone, I apologize. Like I've said in previous streams, sometimes when you don't stream for a while, you get kind of out of streaming shape, and the ability to kind of read off a monitor and think, converse, gets reduced. So first of all, I have to reacquaint myself with all my supplies. It's been a busy week. Those of you that follow comics news, but not only that, I've been traveling a lot, which is not a surprise, but it was a very quick trip to New York. Oh, this is really far up there. All right, I'm going to adjust this 1 second. Let's see if that brings it back to, that's not as bad. Okay, 1 second. Okay. Another thing I tried to do in previous streams that made me kind of run over and was trying to do too many. I think I tried to do 3 sketches last week. I think I'll just go ahead and shoot for 2 within the time we have now. That should make it a lot easier for me to kind of do everything I need to do. Booker and Red 1442. No, it was not an AT&T meeting. It was a regularly scheduled impromptu meeting with some press. So, but it had nothing to do with the acquisition. So that was the other thing that happened this week, right? So AT&T purchased Time Warner. So it's been a busy week. All right, I need a pencil. My Kingdom Fur pencil. Here we go. I'm going to start off with this. So I want to really kind of, but all the stuff that's been going on this week has really kind of made me think about streaming and, you know, why I do it. And I'll talk a little more about that. But before I start, this kind of ties into it. I'm going to start with this pencil. I'm going to try to explain a little bit more of what I'm doing as I go along. This is I think it's a 5.6 millimeter pencil. I don't know. It's like a regular lead pencil, but on steroids. Okay, I don't use it that much. I literally think, in fact, I know I got this as a gift from another artist, Carlos de Anda, who went to Spain for a convention and bought this. You can buy it on Amazon. You don't have to go all the way to Spain, although you'll have a better you'll have a fun time getting art supplies if you travel. Anyway, it comes with this piece of lead. This is the same piece of lead I've had. I think he bought this 10 years ago for me. I honestly don't even think it wears down. But it's very large. It's almost like a crayon. And so what it forces you to do is not think about a line and more about a shape. Okay? Oh, okay. Hi, how are you doing, Cora? I'm like, what is that? Licking my foot. Hold on a sec, guys. How you doing? could get messy. 1 sec, guys. All right. There we go. That dog might be coming back. We'll see. Yeah, that's our newest puppy. My wife is out, apparently doing. Maybe she's getting some Father's Day stuff. I don't know, but yeah, I'm just shocked that she didn't bump over the stand that supports the camera here. All right, what do we have going on? All right, Cryptic Games has resubscribed. Thank you very much. Man, I thought you resubscribed last time. That's crazy. Stone Cold Snake has cheered as well. Arrington Phoenix, first time catching me live. Welcome in. Janelle has cheered as well. Again, I believe. Dexstar671 has resubscribed. Sandman Jim. Sandman Jim. Has subscribed. Abatus has cheered from the Rocky Mountains. And Hal Jordan69 has subscribed as well. Charlie App7 has cheered. Mr. Sinister's his suggestion. Edgar Skyle has cheered as well. So, and Cryptic Games has resubscribed saying, well, I already read that, but there's a note. Congrats on the promotion. Thank you. All right, so we dodged the bullet with the dog. So what I was getting at, so this pencil was given to me, and you can sharpen it to a point, but the idea is to keep it blunt because you're not drawing a line, you're drawing a shape, if that makes any sense. So the idea is to think of it almost as like you're throwing globs of clay together and forming. Let me see if this looks very blown out on the screen here, but let's just see how it goes. The idea is to just kind of draw a gesture, right? A motion. Let's see, what should we do? I'm trying to think. Autofocus is fine. Yeah, the pencil makes it look like my hand is smaller. I should get like a autofocus is on. Okay. 1 second. Oh. All right, I hope that works. All right, let's just start drawing. Oh boy. I can also feel. Let's just start drawing ahead and talking about drawing. So I wanted to kind of focus more on drawing in general. So hopefully I can walk you guys through it. I mean, the whole stream is dedicated to drawing, but even on the Sunday streams, I'm thinking. All right, so this is very kind of generic person at this point. All right, so be mindful of the center line. All right, to me that's sort of like the equator of the globe. You have these lines here, right, that run kind of from the neck across the main part of the pec, down the sides of the rib cage. This line, the arms kind of go into that socket here. Because the figures turn slightly, you see more of that shoulder and less of that one, but you see more of that bicep, and well, you see both biceps, but this one is more the front facing part of the bicep, and this is more of the side bicep. Then the other thing I like to do is where the pec goes here, you can also draw lines that kind of flare out like this. If the chest is swelled up a little bit, the meridian lines, whatever, the vector lines that kind of run across the surface and create the three-dimensional form would be curved slightly, right? Obviously not to this extent. This muscle still needs to induct, I believe that's what the technical term is, induct into that kind of armpit area there. But it's good to think about these kind of shapes, right? And I don't draw these out, but maybe I have an overlay on top of it that kind of helps inform the cross-hatching. People just think like cross-hatching, you're just putting lines on the paper to kind of distract and create busy work. Part of that's true, but it works best if the cross-hatching, again, reinforces the forms and the shapes that you see in your head that you want to convey to the viewer, right? So in your head, if you can create these sort of meridian lines, if this were a globe, right? Could even be Spider-Man webbing at this point. You will see that they all are unique for the most part. And where they start, where they end, and also the curvature, right? Their slopes, their shape, as it goes from one point to the other. So that line and that line are more or less parallel, except they converge more over here than where they start. And I'm laying these down fairly sloppily, fairly loosely, but if you want to get good at this, I think you want to get very precise with your lines, right? You can do a very nuanced kind of line where it goes over the rib, the collarbone here, down here, curves in where the bottom of the pec comes in here, maybe bumps a little bit. I don't know. Maybe no, probably doesn't. Okay. And if you were to actually sculpt in 3D, excuse me, I'm allergic to pets, so anytime I bring my hand close to my face, I feel like I have a ball of lint or fiberglass that I am putting up. One second, guys. I had an issue with a credit card. Oh, way too much detail. Something I have to take care of here. I need to confirm. All right. So, what do we have? We have a very active chat today. There's a lot of activity going on. Poop Kid has resubscribed for 10 months. That is the outer limit at which you can have subscribed. We are approaching the 1 year mark of this stream at the end of August. Bat and Cat has resubscribed for 2 months. Janella has cheered. Batman and Damien, please. Lovely Anima. So glad to watch you drive live. Cheers from Italy. Buonasera. I know it's late in Europe. Sir Richard 706 has cheered as well. Darth Vader or Mufasa? Interesting. Oh, we're talking about father. I mean, that's the theme. That's interesting. I like that. I like that. Edgar Skyle, Kyle Rayner, Giovanni Sanguili. You told me how to pronounce your name. I apologize. It's been a week. I've got to refresh my memory on that. Happy Father's Day. Would like to see Thomas Wayne Batman or Chitara from Thundercats. Okay. Wolf McQueen has also cheered. Black Cat. Idiot Savant has resubscribed for 3 months. Grayscale Stream has subscribed. All right. Coco Kalia has subscribed. Why is everything blurry? Like, this stuff, my autofocus is just out of control. When I say autofocus, my own eyeballs. Ivan the Terrible has resubscribed. Conditioner Gordon. That's a great name. Okay. Okay, I have to confirm my purchase. All right. The Spider-Man 1963. Your eyes are old. I think they are way past the expiration date, and I could feel the difference almost on a weekly basis. It's almost like an experiment. Ghost John has resubscribed for 9 months. Congrats on the new gig. Thank you very much. So, yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and create a poll. And I'm just going to put, we had some interesting ones here. Thomas Wayne, Batman. Let's see what else. Darth Vader. Trying to think. I'm going to do we already did Dark Side. I'm trying to pick some famous fathers. Action Detective 11, could you please say hi to me? Hello, Action Detective 11. Kick It with Chris. You should be able to see it once I launch it, so people on stream will explain it to you. We have our two of our wonderful mods here today. Crispy is out. Oh, Lucy Lean 7. Happy Father's Day, Jim. Hello, Lucy. Or maybe that's Remy, or Remy and Lucy, family friend. Hello. It's always interesting, family friends are watching the stream. Optimus Prime. That's an interesting. I'm gonna put Optimus Prime. Let's put Optimus Prime. Kind of opening up to more of a general chat this way. Just sort of seeing what catches my eye. Marlon Brando Jor-El. That's interesting. I'm going to put that in there just because it's so unusual. I apologize for the slamming of the keyboard. It's very loud. This contraption that Poop Kid convinced me to get. Old school, real force keyboard, mechanical. Wildstorm CCG, Christine, Daddy Blaze. Funny. Anyway, so we have two or three mods here. We have Kirihiko from Die Schweiz and Ren Elephant. So those two will happily and gladly and informatively answer any questions you may have in stream if I don't catch it. So they've been with us really from the start and have made this channel and the Discord channel, which is connected to this channel, I think really a great place to convene and get together if you're into comics, movies, games, all that kind of thing. Okay. Wildstorm CCG. One of these days that's going to work. Okay. Samurai Bat. Stanley. Stanley would be interesting. I'll go ahead and put Batman and Damien. Okay. I like Lone Wolf and Cub. Excuse me. Shroud? A Shroud of Father? I don't think so. It'd be interesting drawing someone behind a microphone. PUBG screen behind them. I guess I could put High Father and should I put Orion or Mr. Miracle? Let me think about this. Shroud is a dog dad. Okay. Unique Flowbot. Good to see you. Okay. Or yeah, put all right. I've got it set up. All right, so this is a Father's Day theme. So go ahead and vote. Meanwhile, let me get this all set up here. You know, I need to blow my nose. 1 second. what do we got? We got Thomas Wayne Batman, Darth Vader. I didn't put Batman. I put Bassman. Bassman and Damien. All right, got Darth Vader and Thomas Wayne Batman. All right. I've never drawn Darth Vader before. I'm just going to let you in on a secret. So I'm wondering. A lot of people are sick of Star Wars stuff. Wow, okay. Very polarized group chat today. How about this? Think about it not so much from a character point of view, but I'm going to do a little tutorial on reflections and textures. If that makes sense. I'll tell you what I would do, honestly, with this. Sorry, I'm looking at reference here. I think one of the reasons why I've really never drawn this character is it's a lot trickier than you think. Okay? In that the helmet is actually really large. So you have to account for that size difference. It's larger than you think. The same way you would draw a soldier's helmet, like Vietnam era, especially, or World War II. They're usually a lot larger. A lot of people, when they draw them for the first time, the helmets are too snug on them, on the figures. And if you really want great reference for that, look at the Nam comic book by Michael Golden, and he exaggerated it to great effect, and he had cartoony figures with realistic gear, and he just killed it. It was awesome. Okay, so I'm like looking at the reference here. Boy, I think I put one of these helmets on once. A friend of mine owned like a replica. And so it's also very similar to a German World War II helmet in that there's some unusual angles to it. So when you look at it, certainly from a three-quarter perspective like I am here, it's not symmetrical at all. Okay. Same thing with like Boba Fett's helmet. It's much larger than you think. All right. So I'm really, to make it easier on myself, I'm trying not to think of it as I'm drawing Boba Fett's, or Darth Vader's helmet. This is something I've kind of tried to teach when I've done live drawing sessions at Comic Cons for fans, like how to draw Batman. Is don't really get caught up in this idea that you're drawing Batman, because you'll start drawing things that you think are Batman-like, when in fact you should be thinking about drawing certain shapes and angles. It's almost like, don't look at, if you're doing a huge painting, look at that little section of green that represents a tree and get those colors right, and then move on to the next section of the painting, rather than painting leaves. If you start thinking painting leaves, you're going to start drawing and painting actual representations, graphical image of what you think leaves are, based on like kind of the triangular shapes or the teardrop shapes that most people use, and you will be drawing more of that symbol or that representation of a leaf rather than what a tree or a bunch of leaves would look like from a distance, where you don't see that level of detail and all you see is color, shadow, reflections, right? So I'm not thinking about drawing a helmet. At this point, I'm trying to look at it as just like I did with here, all these vertices or these meridian lines. I'm trying to think where these meridians line, the angle of the lines and less the object itself. So there's a center thing that starts off here between the eyes, and it goes at a slope like this, and then it curves sharply at the top. Okay, all right. And then right about here, distance-wise, it arcs, and it ends up where this point meets, and this where this point meets, and this point. See, already I'm seeing that this point should be lower, way lower. Okay, so that helps inform. All right, that's where I put it, but I think it should be lower. And then that is parallel to that, and that distance is roughly that. Okay. Right. You can already see kind of how it's starting to balloon out even more, which is where I think it should be. And this shape here is actually much shorter than, again, I was drawing what I know that, excuse me, what I know exists, and what I'm drawing now is the actual shape as it exists on that image, okay, which is not informed by the 3D image I have in my head. That sounds complicated. I wish I could simplify that language a bit. Okay. Something like that. Spaceballs. Not quite that big, typical weasel. The great thing, though, is that even after I do this, I can adjust the size of the torso to accommodate. Now, there's some weird stuff going on here in terms of these shapes. It's not super clear on this image. I could have picked a higher res version of this picture. So unfortunately for me, frankly, if I were going to do this like as a actual published piece, I would just print out. I probably would just print out a photo and like trace the shape of it because it's so precise, and then I would start exaggerating and altering it off of that base to make it more personal, make it more my own, right? You start going like, okay, I'm going to make the tail part of the helmet. Maybe I'm going to flare that out a little bit more, or maybe I'll make the eyes kind of, the eyebrow part of it a little more, like a little more angled, just to make it look a little more sinister, maybe a little more animated, maybe. But there's nothing inherently wrong with tracing an image. I know a lot of people consider that cheating or having a photo there and drawing it. It does limit you, I think. If you always do that, you're always going to end up drawing something that reflects reality really one-to-one, or maybe doesn't have a lot of vitality in the line work. But even doing that is not easily done, meaning it's not really a cheat in my opinion, because it's not that you can't draw it from looking at it, and it's at the end of the day, the final image is what counts, and the quicker you can get there, the more efficient you'll be. At the end of the day, Kirihiko approves of this topic, apparently. Thank you very much. And it's like inking. People think inking is tracing, but I guarantee you, if you take someone's pencils and you ink on top of it, you'll realize how much work and drawing it feels like. and how hard it is to actually do it well. Thank you, Trevor Kai. Happy Father's Day to you. I know you're not a father, I believe. Maybe you are. Recently married. When I say recently, I remember talking to you about it. It felt like it was a couple years ago, but it could have been 5 or 6 years ago based on how fast time flies these days. Okay. So even drawing from, hold on a second, why is none of this working? Okay. Philippe Disa has subscribed. Queen City Amusements has cheered as well. Thank you very much. Yetta Up has hosted with 19 viewers. Welcome in all the people coming in from Yeti Up. Sorry about that. Mangled that name. Brioza has resubscribed for 3 months. Ariane has resubscribed as well. Emo Without a Cause as well. Ninja of Justice has resubscribed for 10 months. Happy Father's Day to you as well. Squash1212 has subscribed using Prime. If you are an Amazon Prime member, you are given a complimentary Twitch membership every single month. It's a pretty cool feature, given that Amazon owns both. Cyan Blue 1 has cheered, 100 bits. Thank you very much. Tagamas or Tagamo 3 has subscribed using Prime as well. Giovanni Sanguili has cheered as well. Thank you very much for the generous cheers. Much appreciated. Ghost John has cheered. No, he has resubscribed for 9 months. Congrats on the new gig. I think I already mentioned that, so I think I'm caught up at this point. Sorry. Lance Childers Art has resubscribed for 4 months. Thank you. Welcome in again. All right. We've got this going on. Let me get back to this Darth Vader here. So when I'm at this stage, I'm trying to look past the things that would throw me off, which are shadows, reflections, what I think the helmet looks like. Okay, I'm really trying to look at it as if I'm drawing a map of England, right? It's very nuanced, all these little crags and crevices and archipelagos and peninsulas that jut out. And they have a very specific relationship to each other geospatially. Okay. So the more I can divorce myself from thinking that I'm drawing Darth Vader and more that I'm just drawing a series of shapes, the better it's going to be for me, I think. Okay. There will be a point where I engage and go like, oh, I'm drawing Darth Vader and put the emotion into it, but right now I want to just really focus on the construction lines. And you're probably wondering, what's the difference between the two? How do you put emotion into a drawing? And that one's tough to describe other than to say, at some point, you gotta, connect to the image, connect to what it is that you're drawing, the emotional state of the character you're drawing. See, in my head, if I were drawing it from scratch, I would put that out more like that. But no, this is right. It's odd. This is less up and down. Okay. But this is parallel to this line, so this line is, the angle's not right. Right? And this ends up being a lot more pulled out in that direction than I would have imagined. Okay. And actually the neckline is right here. Okay. want to fix this line so badly, but it keeps telling me that's where it is. I might pull it out a little bit later when I get to the more personal section of the competition. Okay. And this is shorter. I'm going to have to pull a different reference. This one is very darkly in shadow, so I'm losing a little bit of the structure in here. I can kind of recreate it based on the fact that I know it's symmetrical, and so any of these shapes are going to be reflected over here. So let me try that for a little bit. I know there's a triangular element here, so it's going to be right there in perspective. But again, there's some very tricky reflections going on. And it looks like right there, that goes black. This point, and this point kind of form that kind of shape. So I think this needs to be pulled out a little bit more. Okay. Superhero Swimmer Art says, I wonder if Yoda would be hard to draw. Less so. Less harder. With characters with helmets, there's a three-dimensional aspect that you want to nail so that it looks right. It's drawing certainly spherical shapes in perspective with straight lines is trickier than drawing a soft three-dimensional head. I think Yoda would actually be pretty easy. Okay. So now I'm going to lightly erase this because I've got a lot going on. And normally I would go to ink, but I'm gonna go ahead and pencil a little bit more on this, and I'm gonna get a different piece of reference, and I need to hopefully something that's a little clearer in the shapes without shadows. You can see how everything kind of gets grayed out. I'm just basically taking a small eraser and just erasing off the side of it, the flattest part of it. It smears it, but also just very lightly kind of erases off the very, very top layer. But it does kind of gray out your paper a little bit. So you can still see everything there, but it's just getting lighter and lighter, right? And if I press on the angled part of it, I can actually kind of draw using the eraser. Okay, if I had to do some highlights, here you go. Your paper is so messy. I just erased for you. Please be satisfied with that. Come on. Okay. Yeah, erasing Mr. Raja 99. Yeah, for sure. Erasing does. That's why I like to use one of these or smaller erasers. This eraser, as you can see, has a very asymmetrical shape. And that's because it tore in half, and then I just kind of used different parts of it. So every part of the eraser has a different function. There's the sharpest edge right here, a flat for kind of erasing gently across. This is a blunter corner here. That's a sharper corner. So all these different parts of the eraser you can use for different effect, especially if you're doing like kind of grayscale drawing. And this is just a very general eraser. You can erase very specific parts, but even this tip, you can see there's a sharper tip and a blunter tip, so all those are going to be really good. Reflect asked me, am I going to support South Korea in the World Cup? You're damn straight. Yes, for sure. Yeah, you know what? I think there's a World Cup game today, so I want to thank you guys for popping into stream. It's also Father's Day, of course. So at the same time, we have a pretty good crowd here. Marcus Welb, MD, any suggestions on tricep exercises? Yes. If you have lots of kids, pick them up. That's kind of, right? You scoop them up, and that's a tricep move, right? Tricep, bicep, right? Mexico won. Fantastic. Yeah, Alex Sinclair. That's who they're referencing. Quick Draw 13. Alex Sinclair is in Australia, I believe, with Scott Williams. They went on tour and neglected to tell me they were leaving. So everyone's going bicep. Well, if you do it right, you can do it with the tricep. Maybe if you just grab them by the hair and pull. No, you wouldn't do that. You would grab them by the underneath their arms and lift this way. That feels like a tricep move. I don't know. Okay. Jamon G. Hamon. How long will you stream for us now that you're more employed? Okay, so I think that's something that's a fair question that's come up in the Discord channel, and it will have some impact. They haven't asked me to stop streaming, but there are a couple things I've had to think about in taking on more responsibilities, and one of them is time management. This is something I've already talked about in stream. So first off, let me find some more reference here so I can keep drawing and doing this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a different... What's interesting is that his helmet has changed over the years, different movies, so it's interesting that in our minds we see it as one kind of costume, but it has changed in subtle ways. At least that's what I'm told. Okay. All right. Now I've picked an angle that's much more turned this way, but I get to see really how kind of flared out this is. And how there's even a subtle break to this line. See how it's still relatively straight, but I just put a very subtle break right here. Right? This is curved, this is straight. I might not have gleaned that from the very first reference I looked at. Okay? So I think for sure the late night streams are going away. There's no way for me to do that, do the publishing, and then the new responsibilities. I would like to retain the Sunday stream. This is really, it's become a hobby that's sort of become a side project of mine. I started really, when I say hobby, it's something that I started to do in conjunction with my kids. Because I noticed they were watching Twitch and just got very, very curious about why and who and all that. Then I started approaching it from the standpoint of new social media platform. Right? And I kind of like, I think the funnest part, or one of the funner parts of any new social media platform you get on, is that initial build-up. as you find your core constituency, your fans, and then other people join in because they're also on that platform. They're discovering you through, they're finding you through discovery and references, referrals, all that. And Twitch, I think, is a harder one in that it's mostly a gaming platform. It's not super easy to sort of share who you're following, and the way it seems to work best is through rating. So it works on a different mechanic. And then I got really interested in this from a teaching perspective, but also as a sort of an alternative to or a supplement to Patreon. I don't do Patreon. It seemed very labor intensive because I was so focused on the rewards at different levels, gating or keeping some exclusive content. We have some of that here, but I think not as much, or I'm not as super aware of it, or I work towards that, I guess, or that I don't work towards that. Sorry. But then I started thinking from the standpoint, if I were a comic book artist starting out now, so if I went back and I was 21 years old and I was just breaking into the industry now, how would I approach everything that I do? And I think this is where it gets kind of interesting, at least for me, because it would be very different from what I did when I was 21, trying to break into the business. So, hopefully, hold on one second. Let me just get caught up a little bit. Pandemus has cheered as well. The late night streams were fun. Thanks for the experience. Rip. I'll just add that bit as well. Super Heroic 1 has resubscribed as well. Kappa Tattoo has hosted with 3 viewers. Thank you. Welcome in those 3 viewers. Spider-Man 1963 has said there's a Brazil game on right now. So we're probably not seeing a lot of our Brazilian fans on stream. Let me just tell you that Brazil is a very, very passionate fan base for anything. And obviously soccer is huge around the world. I mean, the biggest sport. And the World Cup is the biggest. And I was actually very fortunate to go to a World Cup game back, I want to say it was like in the 80s, 84. Is that possible? MXD7. I'm Brazilian. Maybe you're watching both at the same time. And I saw, I think it was Italy. It's been such a long time. I think it was Italy, Germany, or Italy, Brazil. It was in Pasadena. So it was when it was in the U.S. So it was awesome seeing that live in person. And I've been to games, mostly in Europe, and the passion of the fans, it's just huge. I mean, we really don't have anything to rival that level of intensity, to be honest, if you've ever gone to these games in person. The singing, the swaying, I mean, it's intense. 94? Was it 94? 94. Okay. Great. Okay. So I started thinking about, let me go back to this reference here. I started thinking about, so even this line, it's not, flares out, dips in, and then it goes down. I started thinking about what I would do differently. And it's not like it goes straight and then cuts over. It actually, there's a softness to that line. And it goes like that. And there's a hard edge for sure right there. So what I would do differently, because I was 21, trying to break in, there's 2 ways to kind of get noticed. Obviously no internet, right? So it was interesting. Looks like there's a bunch of... There are 2 ways to get noticed. You could mail in work, or you could show your work in person show your work in person to a professional, an editor, right? The only way you're going to show them in person is if you go to their offices with an appointment, which I guess some people that lived in New York were able to do back in the day with Marvel and DC. So I use the initial tact, which is photocopy my work and then mail it into the offices. And that pretty much netted rejection letter after rejection letter. Okay, hold on 1 second. Doing some important work. I have to utilize both brain cells at once. Okay. So weird. See, I would think that grill would have come down like this, but the reference is telling me no, like this. Okay. And then I guess little pins right here. So that was it, right? Draw, photocopy, mail it in, cover sheet. Sent, I think, 90 packages the first time. And then as I only got actually form letters from the biggest companies, which is ironic. You would think it'd be the other way around. A lot of the small press didn't even respond. I think the next mailing out was like 40 packages. And by the end, maybe I was just sending out 10 at a time. And there were no conventions, no major shows where I was growing up in St. Louis, Missouri. And then finally, when the Third Avenue, so those two places you could try to get work. And then in terms of getting information, it was the library, other people that had broken in, or fan magazines. There were a lot of like fanzines that would have interviews with professionals that would talk about kind of how they broke in and how they work and stuff like that. So I could find professionals at comic book shops, maybe. Like there was always somebody locally that had kind of broken in. And in St. Louis, there was a comic shop where a guy named Rick Burkett he actually worked at DC. And he was like a font of wisdom. And there's detail back here. I know it's in shadow, so I don't have to worry too much about it. Okay. That was pretty much it. Okay. So a lot of it you're reading through published fanzines. We're talking to people. We're flying to meet them directly. So now I'm like looking at the landscape. You have Tumblr, you have DeviantArt, you have other websites, which I'm sure you guys are more hip to than I am, where one can post up their artwork, share artwork. You can create Twitter, Instagram. You can even be on Twitch. And to me, the name of the game back then was to get published, to tell stories, to get on a book and do a long run. And I still think that's probably the strongest way of kind of creating a name for yourself. Kappa Tattoo. You're awesome, man. Thank you. You're awesome too. Superhero swimmer art, hip too. I immediately put quotations around that too, Clayton. Just FYI, I'm down with you, son. I'm down. As soon as I said it, I was like, ugh, I lost half the crowd. Can't help it. Quick Draw 13 cheered. Firstly, happy Father's Day, Jim. Secondly, Beck, the fiance, will die when she sees this. She loves Darth Vader. She even has a chibi tattoo. Haha. I will post her collection on Discord. Lastly, I may have missed it. This is the longest cheer ever. But how are you picking the person who you're going to ink? Oh, got it. That's a good question. Currently have a piece with Scott. He's going to ink. Would love to have you ink my pencils so I can cross 2 things off my bucket list. Congrats on the amazing promotion again, Jim. All right, so what we're going to do, so I'm going to draw something or give it away, and one will be a silent auction, and then I will also do a drawing for those of you who want to or can pencil. I will do quote unquote inks finishes over your work. I've already done it over Book and Red and VZA, and you can look at past streams for the results. But I'm a pretty heavy-handed inker, so be prepared for that. Sometimes it's tough to see someone kind of redraw stuff on stream. But if you're into it, I will figure out a way to randomly pull a person from chat. It probably will be a sub-only feature, just to patronize it a little bit. But yeah, we'll do that towards the end as well. Okay. Heavy-handed, Jeremy L. Joe, heavy-handed, change the whole thing. No, I think the point of doing finishes is that it still looks like you, but it also looks like me. So I'm going to add in maybe some backgrounds, some shadowing, some rendering that might not be there, but to make it more of a collaboration, a collab, as you kids, as Clayton, as Superhero Swimmer Art might approve, right? Collaboration is too long of a word for most people these days, so we'll do a collab. Okay. Okay. This feels like it's on point. And I say that with a wink, on point with a wink. But a test is to take it and look backwards through through the light, and I'm seeing that while they pulled out the back part of the helmet, I think correctly, it looks a little too pulled. So this part right here. So I'm gonna have to come down here, add a little bit more. See if that makes a difference. Maybe it's this line here. Maybe it needs to be a little thinner. You know who this guy looks like? He looks like those old school London policemen. You know what I'm talking about? Didn't they have helmets like this? I think this needs to be wider back here. Now I'm not working off of reference, I'm just working off kind of the reverse image. So it's like if you drew this, so the reason why I turn it backwards to the light is that if you drew this, I could see kind of things that were wrong proportionately pretty easily. When I draw it myself, I'm kind of blind to that. It's a very common, normal thing. When I turn it to the light, it looks like someone else drew it, or it looks more like someone else drew it, so I could be more objective about it. A Bobby, that's what I'm talking about. A Bobby, right? That's right. Sir Richard 706, correct. So I'm pretty happy with this as a first attempt at drawing this character. Now, if you drew this character a lot, I would know all these angles. You start internalizing. You start just knowing it. He's got Kirihiko eyes, says Mudfrost. Yes, Kirihiko. This is the way you do it right here. That's a Darth Vader I'm talking about. Those are just very, very thick lenses, very, very nearsighted. Anyway, amazing. Keep it. Yes. Well, so what was I saying? I keep getting lost in. I'm gonna make notes to myself. Hold on a second. Let's. All right. Sketch. Ink. Okay. So what was I saying about the tools? Oh, I started thinking, okay, so drawing a run on a character, a beloved character, or a beloved storyline, working the best writer you can. I think that is still the surefire way of kind of making a name for yourself in the industry. But it's not the only one. And I started thinking about streaming, and either whether you're on YouTube or Twitch or whatever platform, that in and of itself, as writers have become more the dominant creative voice on a project, that artists have this ability to do this, to demonstrate drawing, and that it's actually kind of entertaining to watch, or can be interesting, educational, edifying, and that it's something we can lean into using technology to stream or to share or to create how-to videos, and that you can actually monetize that and make a living doing it. I mean, there are artists on Instagram that have hundreds of thousands of followers or millions that have never drawn a comic book ever. And through the power of social media, you don't have to be a comic book artist and have drawn stories to create a career for yourself. You can become a cover artist. You can become an illustrator. You could just be someone that does really cool crap, online. And so I started thinking about that as a goal, as a pursuit, and that's what kind of made me drop out the stuff I was doing with my kids and gaming, because really that was going nowhere. It's kind of had kind of plateaued in terms of interest very quickly. But the gaming seemed to, the drawing, sorry, the drawing seems to had kind of grow steadily, sometimes plateau, and then I put more time into it, more streams, and then it would kind of jump up to the next level. So I could see a potential future for it, and as I got more and more into it, sorry, I'll pull up some more reference. I'm going to pull up reference for the rest of the costume here, because I don't know the transition here. Now I'm looking at cosplay. And why not? I think some of this stuff is just as good. And I think that is the trickier part. You go to like Disney World, Disneyland, you see stormtroopers, official licensed versions of Darth Vader and everything. You go like, I've seen these. Yeah, it's not as cool as it would have been, certainly when I was a kid, because you never saw this stuff. But now, if you go to Comic-Con, Darth Vaders are kind of a dime a dozen, to be honest, right? Especially stormtroopers. So I think artists realize, hey, there's this other opportunity of growing my audience, not through these monthly books or twice monthly books, but by streaming and engaging with the fan community that way. And what does that look like? And it gets the possibilities are kind of interesting. You think about an artist like Jeff Scott Campbell, and he doesn't really do interior. He doesn't do interiors anymore. It's variant covers and engagement with audience and conventions, and it's very much a very viable, successful business model. So what's the upper limit for this? And I look at not just videos that comic book artists have, but just any artist, any videos by any artist, right? Number of live concurrent viewers that like Bob Ross's stream gets, and he is a an artist that is no longer with us, unfortunately. But you can see that there's still engagement there. You look at how-to videos that I've even done from years ago. They're hundreds of thousands of views. You look at Victor's, VZA's YouTube stream channel, and you should. Victor, go ahead and give yourself a plug. I think he early on figured out that there was an appetite for people that missed panels, and he started recording his panels with his wife, and then they would put them online, and slowly but surely that got out there, and people recognized that it was a lot of fun to kind of watch these panels in real life as people drew and talked about their experiences in comics, and people could learn. And that picked up steam as he kind of aggregated a number of different artist streams. So, I support that stream because I think he speaks to a wider audience than I do, because he covers a lot of different artists. And he also edits them properly and put some real work into them. I just kind of port mine out. So at the end of the day, it shows me what that potential size of that audience could be. Right. And frankly, if someone goes out there and puts the time and effort into it, I think you could, again, probably never go to a convention if you didn't want to. Just do live panels, AMAs on stream. So there's all these different abilities to get your work out there. There's a host of information both on YouTube and in books now on how to improve your craft. You can see it done live in person. So from an educational standpoint, it interests me. From a career perspective, it interests me. So there's all these different elements at work. So I would like to keep up with it if possible, but I think it all just comes down to time, right? And that's my long roundabout answer to the question of whether the new responsibilities will impact the streaming. So the short answer is yes, but I think there are some cool opportunities, not just for myself or artists, but for companies, for DC. I mean, DC started its own Twitch channel, Mad Magazine started its own Twitch channel. We haven't quite figured out, frankly, the amount of time and dedication and resources we want to put into it, but I think it's something that has a pretty strong future if people want to put the time and effort into it, right? Okay, these stripes are thinner right here. These are less important, these details, frankly, if I could be so bold to be honest. If I could be so bold to say, and that people should be looking here, less over here. If people are looking here, then I think you're doing your job incorrectly, right? As we get further and further away from the face, it should be less interesting, okay? Less interesting, less important to have the detail. Tunatonian, I am constantly pushing my students to get out there and go for it. For sure, absolutely. The barrier of entry to this business before, you were either published or you weren't. You either drew for yourself and your small circle of friends or people you knew at your comic book shop, or you were published and you reached hundreds of thousands of people. I mean, that was it. It was all or nothing, really. Today, there's so many different levels. You can be out there and you can have a small audience that on Instagram, and as you draw, not just whatever you want to draw, but you draw recognizable characters you can tie into media events like movies and games, and you'll have people reference and retweet and repost your work, and you can engage with that audience like you could never imagine when I was breaking in. So there are, so I'm trying to think about sort of the artist career from the standpoint of someone that's just breaking in, and you realize that it's very, very different, and like, where can you take this? So I think that's what interests me about this platform, and hopefully some of the learnings and experiences I've had can, I think, have kind of, I've seen more artists thinking about streaming or streaming now, and frankly, they're drawing, and hopefully they're drawing comic book pages, but they don't necessarily have to be at the end of the day. So I think that's the important thing. VCA, where's my cut? The work itself is its own reward, right? Anyway, all right. Beliasa has asked for uptime. I always wonder, like, are people doing that because they just jumped in, or are they bored? Like they're like looking at their clocks, their watches. One Punch Man. Yeah, I'd like to draw. So One Punch Man would be good to draw as well. Superhero swimmer art. Try to hold drawing up to light, but iPad isn't see-through and fell on my face. Okay. There is a function on the iPad where you can take the image and flip it horizontally. That will do the exact same thing. All right. So there's that little bit of info worth the sub right there. KB Bradshaw, what are you saying? Bit of both. Andy Hebelo one. How's your pony Twitch doing? So, someone from YouTube, I think, on the stream where I talked about naming a horse Twitch said, "No, that's not a good name, because if you Google it, and I did, Twitch it's a weird technique. It's kind of this unproven technique of sedating your horse by hurting it, I think. I mean, it looks weird. So, yeah, I have to come up with a different name. So, I don't have. We're still looking. We're still looking. Someday. Superhero swimmer. For my joke. Yeah. That's dad humor right there. Had to explain it. Okay. All right. Beta says cheered again. Thank you very much for your continued support. God dang it, Bobby has subscribed. Thank you. Patrick 10. My dream is to work at DC one day. That is a fine dream worth pursuing for sure. Kuyamu has resubscribed for 10 months. Been here since the start. 10 months. I think we're ready for a close-up try shot. Okay. Mortal Monday has resubscribed. Sketch 22 has subscribed. Straws has hosted. VM 2020 has subscribed. Highway 13 has subscribed. Turd Smith, all of you guys have subscribed using Prime. J for Jules has cheered as well. Are you scheduled for New York Comic Con already? Yes, I will be there. Do you accept sketches as gifts at cons? I do, but I would. Let me just say that a photocopy is fine, to be honest, or a JPEG. I would keep your art. It is a historic memento of your journey, and it's interesting to be able to go through your old original art. I have original art from when I was in high school, grade school, from 7th grade. Maybe a few pieces from sixth grade. I still own those pieces of art, and I think it's good to keep that and be able to reflect on it, and I think the image in and of itself, the fact that you put time and effort into drawing something for someone you presented to is enough, really. I mean, I think it's the same argument about digital art, right? It's like you don't have the original to sell, but you don't need to, because it's all about the process. It's all about the final image. This guy's bulky. I'm going to pull it back because I don't know if he's that. Okay, let's get to inking this. Okay, it's 11:30. Okay, so without even looking at reference, you can see I already put some of the reflections in using the eraser. So let me see what I can do here. Excuse me. Okay. So basically, you could either look at the photo reference for reflections, and that's perfectly valid. And you'll learn a lot if you think about what you're seeing as opposed to just kind of going, okay, there's a shape like this. So this is where it's the reverse of what I told you before, which is to just draw the lines and shapes as you see them and not think about what you're seeing, right? Focus on angles and where one point of a line starts and where it ends in relationship to other points of the drawing. This time I'm going to ask you to look at the shadows and reflections and then think about what it is that you're actually seeing, which are reflections of objects around the helmet. You think of a ball that's super shiny. You see quote-unquote reflections in it, and if you draw that, it's usually lines around the edge. Those lines represent things around the ball that are reflected off that shiny ball. The same way if you look at a car window and you stop and really look at it, you'll see that it's not clear that there are shapes on it. And those shapes are reflections of trees and buildings along that windshield. Okay, you look at Kevin Nolan's art, he does it great. He actually draws the buildings in color on the windows, and it looks like glass, but then if you look at it, you realize he just drew the building kind of curved on that windshield. So what you're seeing are hallways, lights, things like that. So you want to be aware of the shapes, but then realize, hey, all these shadows seem to be going around the edge, right? The highlight is on the roundest part of the object that's highest up. And that point of reflection is typically 3/4 on a turn, right? So if you draw a ball, okay, if this is 0 and this is 90, 180, sorry, 180, this is 90 over here. That reflection is right there, and that's, if the light source is here, typically, that's kind of where people put it. It's wherever that distance is the shortest, that's where that reflection is going to be. And where it's the furthest away is where the shadows are going to be. All right? And at the very, very edge and perimeter of that, you have light over here that's not as strong, and it's going to basically put a thin glow on the edges, all right, if you have those other light sources. So that's why when you typically draw like a sphere, you're basically drawing like a person here. So you draw like a stick figure, like a head, shoulders, body that's kind of warped, and this over here we can put like a Christmas tree. Okay, see how there's a highlight around the edge of the ball, and that reflects the light that's on the edge here that's being created by this rim lighting, or bounce light actually, off a wall here. This core is bright because that represents this part right here, which is the part facing the light source. So maybe there's another person here, another tree here, right? And that's how you create a shiny ball. Got it? Does that make sense? Plus Fresnel effect, says Mansage. I have no idea. That sounds plausible. I'll Google that later. And, right? Okay? Do you get that? Okay. So let's get rid of this. So I could do the shadows without looking at reference, because I just kind of know based on just those principles I showed you there where it would go. And even on the eyes, you could just, the 3/4 part of this, you know, this is the halfway point, the 3/4 where it gets brightest, so it's not too, where I drew the eyeballs before, that wasn't too far from the facts, right? Okay. And then, like I'll look at the photo reference, there is a highlight right there, but it also goes like this because the shadow of this helmet it blocks out the light. So this reflection is a light source that's over here. The light can't penetrate, obviously, through this brim, and so it casts a shadow right there. Okay? All right, let's start inking. Running out of time, 11:36. I have a heart out, though, for sure. Oh, cannot see. This is so weird. All right. VZA has a YouTube channel? I didn't know that. Okay. Everyone's just doing quotes from Star Wars. We have someone named Tricky Digits. Hey, let me get caught up in chat. What's going on? If someone could do a quick summary in a sentence. Everybody's saying Darth Vader has a chain. Can you make it say number one dad? Like, right? You know, you're right. I have a life-size Darth Vader in a room, and there's a chain that basically connects this to this. And it should be like, yeah. All right. Sounds good. Great idea, chat. Great idea. All right. Erica Cotton says, I heard the famous Sean Norton was in here, so I had to say hi. All right, say hi to Sean Norton. Welcome in. Andy Hebel 1 says, have you ever go to a German con? I went to Erlangen back in 2004, so someday soon. Okay. Big Boss 138, I think it's meant ironically, so I'm down with you. Okay, so here we go. Let's ink this. Let's get it done. Make sure I'm on stream. Let me turn it so that it looks better on camera. I have to adjust myself here. So I'm just drawing the shadows of these kind of divots here. Looks more realistic than actually just drawing the outlines of those divots. Put the light source here and here. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that down there. Okay, so I'm going to move fairly quickly because the way I'm going to ink this with the shadows and stuff, a lot of this line work is just kind of, it's going to disappear anyway. And this is where I'm personalizing it. I'm not looking at reference. I don't know if there's a shadow here, if there's an indent. I think that's the way I remember it. So I think that's the way I'm going to draw it. So the little things. It's like when you draw the length of Batman's ears, right? Everyone does it differently. No one measures it out. They do it based on taste. All right, it's the amount of salt you put in a recipe. Kind of do what feels right to you. So my version of Vader has like a little divot here. I don't know if that divot actually exists. It's like some people put like fangs on Punisher. I'm like, why would you do that? But some people did. Some people put kind of part Superman's hair from the left side versus the right side. I think I did it from his left side over. Someone once told me I was doing it wrong. I'm like, no, look at it. It exists. I'm doing it right. I've made it so. These characters don't actually exist. We can bend them to our will. We can bend them to our will. I should do that in a Vader voice. We can bend them to our will. And who said I wasn't a writer? What's what's up with the grill? I know it exists, but what's behind the grill? There's like the grill part goes up and down. Where's that reference I had? It looks like it's an air conditioning kind of filter behind it. You know what I'm talking about? Any of you HVAC people out there? Right? It's like he's got the grill, and then behind it is a filter, right? He's got to swap that piece out. Sorry, I'm looking the wrong way. Maybe it goes up like that, triangular. Right? I'm sure it looks just nasty when he pulls it out, right? It's got like phlegm, dust, sarlacc juice, whatever he's been eating, chewy hair. Yeah. See, these are things, if you really think about these universes, it's kind of gross. Right then and there. It's like, okay, there's that grill right behind it. Okay. Anyway, the hardest part of Darth Vader, I think, is this helmet part, because it's not symmetrical. Well, it is symmetrical, sorry, but it's not. There's a lot of nuances to the shapes, like even this line right here, like as I mentioned before. So that's why I think it's actually just easier to just lightbox it and trace it, get it over with, and then manipulate it later as needed. I'm exaggerating the size of that ridge, the thickness in general, because I know if I go in with a brush it might get thinner, or I might just keep it thick like that. I think from the photo reference it looks a lot thinner. Okay. Okay, let's do let's see if I can do this properly here. You know, I just realized I saw Jeremy Eljo in chat. He said in Discord he's going to be on the beach. So are you watching from the beach? How do you get good signal out there? Please let us know. Dakbert later stream. See you later. I assume you're leaving. I'm not sure. I'm just guessing. Beach connection is so good because they have hotspots. Ah, got it. You know what? Is it that type of chain? I don't know what type of chain it is. So there I was trying to do like kind of a weird alien chain. And then here I did sort of an Earth chain. I always kind of wonder about that, like in sci-fi movies, right? Especially other planets far, far away kind of thing. It's not based on our reality. So the fact that they would have a chain that looked like a chain that would be manufactured in the United States or on Earth always seemed funny to me. But then I never saw a ballpoint pen in the Star Wars universe. But if there were a ballpoint pen, what would it look like? And why would it look like a ballpoint pen that we could buy at our local drugstore? Right? Actually, all the guns and stuff, a lot of it from Star Wars was based off of World War II armaments, like the Bren submachine gun and things like that. So that was kind of cool. Actually, I like that. I like the fact that it was kind of modified off of existing, and even the uniforms, like the Empire's uniforms, look like the Japanese Navy uniforms, right? I think I just broke Star Wars. I'm ruining it for everybody. I can tell with this. I'm just like people are like, oh, you're right. This is not helping. But it'd be awesome if like Darth Vader were like, okay, wait, gotta destroy the rebellion, rebuild the Death Star, find my son. Wait, hold on, it's too much. Pulls out. And he's like, destroy the rebellion, find my son. And he pops it back in. Like that would be. You don't see those scenes, so they cut those out of the movies because it reminds you too much of our reality, right? So they have to put some of our reality in, but they can't put too much. And actually, they did that. Backing into a note, but in the Last Jedi, there was that scene with the admiral of the ship where, gosh, I'm blanking on the names, but. They put him on hold. Like the idea that there's like a on the Star Cruiser that there's a button like, hello, you've reached Star Cruiser 2807 Sector 42. Yes, the Admiral is busy right now. Sorry, can I put you on hold? Right? That was that moment. You guys know. It was funny. Right? So, but that's the fine line, right? Holding for Hux. And then there'll be like Empire holding music, like do 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 do. No, that would be do 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 do. Like if you're on hold, you'd have to have that. Yes. Okay. All right. Dad jokes on Father's Day. I thought that was a good one, but sorry. It's the best I can do. Oh, this is empty. Here we are. Here's some ink. Here's a brush. Okay. Oh, there's more to it. What am I doing? Dad jokes. I remember when that was just called humor. I don't know what happened. What happened? Okay. Happy Grandpa Day, says King Kennedy. Not just yet. You are not quite accurate just yet. Looks like he's got a thermometer here. It's like Empire Giving Day. 30 million credits shy of the new Death Star. 10 cycles remaining. See how I changed all that to fit. Okay. Now I've done a discredit to Darth by drawing these elements in by hand. I'm looking for a straight edge right now. This is a little trick that you guys can use to basically go in and after you've drawn something by hand, you can clean up the edges by using a straight edge, and so it still looks kind of hand done, but at the same time give it kind of that hard edge, I think, so it looks more mechanical, right? And sometimes I just do one side of it and keep the other side hand drawn looking. But lining up some of these lines, there's value in that. Okay. All right. Yeah, the hand-drawn lines kind of screwed up. Dark Wickets, I thought you gave him a hard edge with that chain and grill, though. You guys are complaining to me about my dad humor? Heal thyself, I say. Heal thyself. Not for my flavor. Happy Father's Day, Jim. Happy Father's Day to you. DJ Mitten says, gingivitis. I think there's some people out there having their own side stream chat. I think DJ Mitten's calling you out. I don't know what you're talking about. Gingivitis. He's got Kirihiko eyes for sure. My Little Pony sticker on the helmet. You guys are going too far. Of course. Put people on blast. Kids in the back, can you please pay attention? I could be on the beach. I don't need to be here. with Jeremy L. Joe. We could be kicking it on the beach together, but sadly I'm not. All right, here we are. Okay. Lightsaber fireworks. I don't even know what a lightsaber firework is. All right, let's turn it so it looks best on camera here. So let's say there's a hallway here. Here's that hallway. That's where you can kind of go. All right, and I'm just using the brush. It's loaded up. Going, but I'm gonna, I don't know, I'm applying pressure, but also pulling up at the same time. And so the idea is that I'm getting some very abstract kind of shapes that are happy accidents, right? Like those shapes there. Maybe some dry brush in between. That always helps with the reflection. I went over the line. I'll clean that up with whiteout. Okay. And go here. Do a dry brush in the center. Why not? So I'm just kind of reacting to the lines itself. I'm not sure exactly how much black's going to be in the final piece, but you know, as you kind of, it'll tell you as you go through. You'll see stuff and go like, oh, that should be black. I wish I could be clear on that, but it's like when writers tell you, oh yeah, the characters write themselves. They'll tell you their dialogue. All right, I've tried that approach to writing, and my characters don't say crap. It would be funny if I used a different word, but my characters never speak to me. They just sit there, and I'm like, okay, what's the next line? Maybe if I drew my figures with their mouths open. I guess I don't do that a lot. It would help. Okay. Dry brushing is so hard. No, dry brushing is easy because you're not responsible for the line. You're not trying to get a line. You're you are the line. You are the line. Don't press so hard and then see what you get is my answer. So with the dry brush, I'm not trying to create an effect. I just lighten up on the pressure and I get something different than I could do than if I actually tried to create that line. Okay. So let's go in and go ahead and make the areas that are going to be true black first. Okay. Sometimes I have to coax that line out of the brush. And then you'll find that you have one brush stroke that works really well at a certain angle and a pressure. You can kind of get good at kind of hitting that line over and over again. So that gives you the control to kind of ink up to a line. So you see that I'm basically rotating this drawing so that I can keep hitting that line. It's like, it's my groove move. Oh, that's horrible. Let me rephrase that. That would be my go-to swing. I don't know. But when you get good enough, you can just kind of, you can hit those lines from any angle for the most part. But you'll find that when you first start out, there'll be a certain angle and stroke that works best for you. All right. Yeah, maybe it's not the groove move. So we'd first do the shadow of this brim. All right. And do that line there. I believe that most of this is in shadow as well. So I'm making up all these shadows kind of based on the eraser lines I put at the beginning, right? The eraser highlights, I guess. All right, I'm not referring to anything that a photo yet, but I will in a second, I think, just to see if what I put matches kind of. Reality, I guess. You can overdo it with these shadows or the reflections in the shadows, so you want to be a little careful. You don't have too many. I wanted to get a little more kind of true black in that area there, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to bring this down here. So I have more black in the helmet. Because you want it to read as a black shape, right? If you have too many highlights, it might read as white. Okay. What do we have going on? Ren Elephant has waited all this time to resub. He wasn't sure if he was going to be in it for the 10th month. He wanted to hear how the new responsibilities affected the stream. So I'm very thankful that he has resub, because we need mods like him and Kirihiko and Crispy. Almost 1 year, PogChamp. Great. Grimes Jr. has resubscribed for 10 months. He's been around as long as Ren Elephant. Obviously triggered by Ren Elephant's resub, Grimes Jr. has blindly hit the resub button as well. Thank you for your support. Charlie App 7 has cheered. Considering starting my own sculpting Twitch. I work in polymer clay. Have you ever worked before in sculpture before? I did. When we did the Wildcats toy line with Playmates, they gave me some clay and some tools and said, hey, if you ever want to sculpt an action figure, we'd love to do it. And I started playing around with it, and I realized I was basically at the start of learning how to sculpt the same way I once was at the start of learning how to draw and realized that there are people that are much better at this that can do it a lot faster. So I gave up on that. Queen City Amusements has cheered. This is my favorite part. Clearing of the throat, probably. Cynthia Yeep has cheered as well. Jim streaming. Hi, Jim, streaming while getting my hair done. That's awesome. I love that. I love the bits of reality shared with the stream. It's like an elephant cheering. Taking a shower imminently. Enjoying the stream so far. Golf Boy Sunday has resubscribed for 4 months. Thanks for letting me get a glimpse into your creative process and for providing such an entertaining stream. You're welcome. I enjoy it. It's been a lot of fun. It continues to be fun. I enjoy it. So let's go ahead and finish this up. I've got 23 minutes. I think today is a sub 10 because we did mistakenly like a free-for-all or a sub 5 the last two. I mean, we got it back on track. So I think this is a sub 10. So this will be the giveaway for the sub 10. Well, at CD, hey, was that comment after careful reflection? Do you think, what am I going to say in chat at this moment? Hello? Hey now. What's up? I'll go with hey. Very universal. One second. Let me move this down here. We got, probably do some sort of smudge effect, I think. Make it feel cosmic. It's also a reflection that goes there, right? So we want to be aware of that. So to recap, as far as the stream goes with the new responsibilities, the late night streams are definitely going away. I think the focus of what I draw, I like this one. This was very thematic. I'm not just drawing characters for the sake of drawing characters. I might kind of incorporate some of the stuff I'd share in a critique, portfolio critique, into the actual stream. So I kind of will try to, because sometimes I'm going to draw characters that people aren't into, and I can kind of take an aside and talk about some of the principles involved, the drawing principles, teach a little bit, which I think should always be the main focus. All right. And we'll go from there. You know, maybe I pull back from the personal stream and focus more on the DC stream. I don't know. I have to really kind of think about what works best. Cryptic Games, yes, this is the only one. and then I will do a drawing, sort of a random pull for the doesn't he have, he's got squares, I believe, right? This is like, this is kind of what I remember from the life-size Darth Vader I have downstairs. There's like a texture to the arms. Square grid. I love the dad jokes. That's funny. Okay. So I get kind of closer to the bottom of this. I realize I need some scratch paper. Let's see what I got here. Okay. I should put the ballpoint pen right here. Okay, so that's like the basic inking for the figure. Now I'm going to adjust it for, is this chest plate black? I'm hoping that it's black. It looks like it's black, and it changes from shot to shot. Oh, you know what? There's more buttons down here. Looks like there's 4 buttons. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 3, 4. All right. Melting button. No melting buttons. It's almost whiteout time. Okay. Yeah. Let me get caught up here. KB Bradshaw has just cheered. Just here for the dad jokes. Yeah, I think there are a lot of dads here in the audience, so I appreciate that. Nasty Camper has subscribed. Tiny Bubbles has resubscribed. Hazard G has subscribed. Golf Boy Sunday has cheered. Awesome brushwork this week. Any tips on how to achieve my dry brush effects with just marker? Yeah, a burnt out dry marker will give you dry brush effects. Markers, though, in general will fade with color. So be aware of that. Panzerian has resubscribed. Spence New 52 has subscribed for 6 months. Thank you very much. Keegs Dude has subscribed, and I believe that gets me current. Okay. All right. Now I'm looking at this going, where's my eye going? I've got all this competing with all this. So are there ways I can kind of consolidate the shapes here? All right, let's try. Let's get rid of some of the side lighting here. What happens if I go to all black down here? Okay. And I go to mostly black over here. I like this over here and the subtlety, and I'm going to just reduce this just a bit. Okay, now where am I at? I want this to pop more, so I'm going to surround it with more black shapes, and maybe this side won't get as much. So I'm going to dry brush it there, kind of bring that in. You thought you were just getting drawing lessons, but you got my very sad sack lame use of lingo. You got my bad, horrible Darth Vader impersonations. And right now, like half the chat's going, was he impersonating Darth Vader? Is that what that was? Sad but true, yes. Okay. I'm going to have this huge helmet cast a shadow, as it should. Right there. I love that highlight there, but I'm tempted to blacken all that out. The trick to kind of creating something that looks real, that's kind of made up, is creating patterns. So if you look here on the arm and what I just did there, I basically hit 4 things that are kind of similar but not exactly. But hitting them repetitively makes it look like it's a reflection or some sort of structure that's there, and not just random kind of blobs. Okay, so it's just something to keep in mind as you draw and ink, especially as you ink. The reason why I need to go black around that thing is I'm going to put some jewels in there, and they're going to sparkle, and so there's going to be splatter there, and the splatter won't work. Splatter doesn't show up on white, so it's got to go on black on black. Just make it smaller. Okay. Make that less bright. Have that kind of eye kind of disappear. Have that edge kind of disappear a little bit. All right. dare I say, almost done. So again, repeating elements there. Just letting certain things kind of pop out. Of course, I can re-pop elements using whiteout as well, which I might do. Then I'm wondering what it looks like if I go all the way to black over here. Let me see. I'm going to do one thing here. Okay. I'm going to turn towards the camera because I'm seeing that there's a light reflection that we're getting off the light, off the actual black ink itself. So you can kind of, let's see if I can adjust this properly. So you get less camera distortion. All right. All right. Okay. Batpunk 9, got a heart out to catch my plane ride back. Happy Father's Day. Thanks for doing your thing. Have a safe flight, Batpunk 9. Thanks for tuning in. Horizon of York. I am not going to comment on that, sir. Oh, it's Darth Vader. You couldn't tell before. Hey, Poop Kid. How you doing, man? Good to see you. You know, I did replug this back in. I think it's working now. So, got Poop Kid in the house? Oh, it's not working. Why is it not working? Got Kirihiko. Kirihiko worked. Got Ren. All right, there we go. Poop Kid's working now. Crispy's not here with us. All right. Chris the Power is hosted. Jawamo727 has cheered. Angry Panda has... Sorry, Jawamo727 has subscribed. Angry Panda 888 has cheered. Thank you for your support, Angry Panda 888. Okay, I'm letting that dry so I can go in with... You know what? Let's do this. Let's go ahead and do some kind of cool intergalactic effects behind Darth Vader. Taking Black India Rapidograph ink here. Just pouring it straight onto the tip of a Kleenex, and then just sort of haphazardly kind of, I know that there's a highlight up here that I kind of penciled in, so I want to keep that consistent. I know where the edge is on this Kleenex, so I can actually kind of get there without going over the line if I so wanted to, I guess. Some of this kind of almost looks like fire. Cosmos and fire. A little harder with the left side because my hand's in the way, but I can kind of guesstimate where it is. The fire of orbital destruction. Correct. That's exactly what that was. All right. Okay, we've got some white out here. It's 12:26. before I get to giving this away to a sub 10 or sub 25, I will pull a name out for any subscriber to send me a piece of their penciled art. I will ink it. Obviously, it can't be for something that's going to be published. That would violate my contract, so please know. And keep it simple. I can imagine. Yeah, I sent you my 5-page massive, I'll communicate with you what might be an appropriate piece of art, I guess. Right. I kind of want to pull the focus of the stream back towards DC a little bit more as well. It's been kind of a free-for-all lately, but I also I found it to be a lot of fun to kind of draw characters I've never drawn before. So like anime, manga, I think is something that I would like to continue to explore. All right. So again, you see the repeated elements, sort of three windows at a time kind of thing, right? All right. Now we do the last part here, which I realize I'm off camera really for the most part. We're going to do it up here. Okay. Let that dry. I'm going to erase some of the pencil lines here so it looks more white, which it should. And add some gems. Hopefully they'll look like gems. So what do we have? We have to pull for the person that's going to get the work inked. So we'll do that right after I finish whiting this part out. And then I'll do the drawing for this Darth piece. Okay. Oh, and last but not least, sorry. Get the card. This card here to do the stars, which give us thicker dots than the toothbrush. Do a couple of reflections on the helmet too, but it's reflecting off the stars. All right. I don't know what's falling on the ground, but that sounded loud. Okay. Alrighty. Let me 32 minutes over. Or no, 2 minutes over, but we started a little late. So let's do something here. Sorry, I got a message here. All right. Okay, let me pull up Nightbot here. All right. And let me realize the camera is such that I need to turn it. Here we go. Almost screwed that up. I can't help but laugh. All right, sorry. Okay, that number one dad sign just cracks me up. All right, so I want to thank the mods, Kirihiko, Ren Elephant, for being here on Father's Day. I want to thank all you guys that have tuned in and check this out. I appreciate your guys' continued support. I will have more word. Please check out the Discord channel. It is a supplement to the live stream. It's a great community of people that are into comics, games, movies, all that kind of thing. You can talk about what you'd like to see in stream, how to make it better, and get the latest updates on when the schedule would be. All right, so first we're going to do a person that gets penciled art inked. You'll get a whisper from me. I'll give you an address where you send the art. We'll talk about what you're going to send in, and then I'll ink it in a future stream. All right, let's go ahead and hit it. So Yokai Artist is the winner, following since September 3rd of last year. Let me write this down. Assuming you want to have something inked. But since you have artist in your handle, I am guessing that you are and would be interested. So Yokai Artist. All right. Okay, that's taken care of. Awesome. Okay, next up, we've got, so the stream's going to go to emote only. Before I go, let me explain this. We're going to go emote only, and then you have to type in Jim Lee Mace, M-A-C-E, or Jim Lee Bats, B-A-T-S, capital B. So underscore, not underscore, lowercase Jim Lee, capital M-A-C-E, or Jim Lee underscore, not underscore, lowercase, capital B-A-T-S. Those are the sub 10 and sub 15, or sub 10 and sub 25 emotes only. So when we go to emote only, you won't be able to type that in unless, actually, you know what? Type in Jim Lee Mace. Sorry. It's going to only be one. So Jim Lee, lowercase, capital M-A-C-E, lowercase. All right? So that is a keyword that is only available to people that are sub 10 or sub 25 subscribers. This is our sort of workaround on how to reward people at that sub level. It's something that the mods came up up with. It's actually pretty elegant. It works really well. So I'm going to give you guys that are eligible time to type something into stream, because that's what makes you eligible. You have to type in Jim Lee, lowercase, capital M, lowercase, ACE, all one word. As you can see people do. If you do it properly, you will see Mason's face up here. Okay? I'll give you guys a couple minutes. All right. If you keep typing in, you'll get locked out. So I think it's, if you just typed it in with the last 5 minutes, you should be fine. Okay? I can see the eligible user count right now, and I'll stop after it kind of keeps moving forward. And just so you know, that music will be only available on the live stream and on the Twitch replay. Once it goes to YouTube, I have to clip out any copyrighted music. Let's see if we can see this without the reflection. I'll also take a snapshot of this and post it into Discord so you guys can see the whole image. Okay, all right, here we go. The winner is D. Calvin. Congrats, D. Calvin. Following since August 27th of last year. I think that's the first day of the stream. And definitely a subscriber. Please punch in Jim Lee Mace if you could, just to make sure that the software Nightbot is working as intended. I think it's got to be, right? So I will hit you up and send you a message, D. Calvin, in Discord. I know you're there. So congrats. All right, so we're going to, for those of you who have a little extra time, we're going to go raid someone else who's streaming right now. But again, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Kirihiko. Thank you, Run Elephant, for being awesome mods and being attentive to our awesome community. I'm going to go check out the message from Kirihiko, where we should go. That's at work. Here we go. And happy Father's Day to you all.